Hey to all the spooks out there. Welcome back to another episode of Spine Chilling Chats, where every Wednesday we dig up the darkest corners of true crime, history, folklore, and the supernatural. I'm Ange.
And I'm Amanda.
This is a very special episode of Spine Chilling Chats, as tomorrow marks 1 whole year of diving into the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright spine-chilling with all of you. And we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than by bringing you somewhere truly unforgettable.
That's right. We had the incredible opportunity to tour the infamous Beeson Haunted Mansion and its grounds, including the family cemetery that holds the Beeson Mausoleum. And trust us, it was every bit as haunting as the stories say.
After exploring the dark halls, the basement, and walking over to the crypt, we sat down with the amazing owners themselves, Ken and Katherine Greer, to hear firsthand what it's like to live with the spirits of Beeson and all the secrets the mansion still holds.
So, grab your flashlight, lock your doors, and settle in. Our 1-year anniversary episode starts now with the tales from the Beeson Haunted Mansion you won't want to miss.
This is the most detailed history on the Beeson family we could find from buryinghistory.wordpress.com. The Beeson family goes back to the days of America's founding. Strother's great-great-great-great-grandfather, Edward Beeson Sr., came to the New World around the time of the birth of his son in 1684. Strother's father, Jacob Henry Beeson, and mother, Judith Ann Broughton, married in Pennsylvania in 1806. Judith was the daughter of a Sergeant Major, William Broughton, who fought in the 11th Virginia Regiment under George Washington in the Revolutionary War. He was injured by a bayonet in the Battle of Brandywine at Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania on September 11th, 1777. The American Continental Army lost the battle, and Broughton suffered a stab wound to the arm, thorax, and lungs, which disabled him for the rest of his life. He died in West Virginia in 1789 when his daughter Judith was only 5 years old.
After marrying Jacob Henry in 1806, Judith bore him 5 children. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a lot.
5 children. And 4 of them were boys. So that's a lot of rambunctious activity going on. 1 girl. Jacob Henry died in 1820. He was 50 years old and she was just 35. Ancestry.com indicates that Judith married again 2 years later to a man named John F. Lewis, son of Isaac Lewis, who died just 2 years after their marriage. At some point in the following years,
Sounds
Judith...
a little sus to me.
Right? Right? Like,
she dropping husbands.
Did they have life insurance back then? Because something's not right there. At some point in the following years, Judith and her children came to Niles, Michigan,
where we were at.
Possibly around the same time as her firstborn son Jacob set up shop in Colonel Houston's Tavern. He was selling goods in the early 1830s. He later went into business with his brother William Beeson in 1837. Judith's third son, Job John Beeson, died in Niles at the age of 23, probably of consumption, aka
tuberculosis.
He was originally buried in the Lacey Cemetery and later moved to the Beeson Mausoleum. His marker lies flat outside of the vault in the yard that's fenced in with stone.
So that's probably the one we saw and we couldn't read.
Yeah. Because they're very old. So we were trying to read the headstone and we couldn't make out a lot of what it was trying to say.
It's laying flat, so it's getting all the elements just pounding down on it.
And I'm sure they just run right over it with the lawnmowers and it's getting hit with the blades and it's just,
it's taking a toll on it.
Yeah. It's still nice. It's just very illegible.
Meanwhile, youngest son, Strother, a lawyer, was dabbling in real estate, buying bonds and amassing a small fortune. When Strother came west, he first resided in South Bend, where he married Mary Withrow in 1841. They had a son, William Withrow Beeson, born on December 14th, 1842. Mary died in childbirth with their second son, also named William, in 1844.
Which is weird.
That's very weird.
Why would you name both of your sons William?
I have no idea.
So, yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, that's strange. And they were buried in the same casket together. Find a grave lists Mary Withrow as being interred in the Beeson Mausoleum, as does a June 8th, 1939 article in the South Bend Tribune entitled Beeson Mausoleum Keeps Family Together in Death. But most likely, they were first interred in South Bend before being moved to the mausoleum after it was built in the late 1860s.
Mother Judith Ann Nelson lived with her youngest son, Strother, according to both the 1850 and 1860 census. He bought the Greek Revival Mansion on Bond Street, which had been built for distiller William H. McCumber in 1847. Legend has it that the house was built with a whiskey bottle, a gold coin, and a Bible in its cornerstone, which we forgot to ask about.
We did forget to ask.
But I'm sure Ken and Catherine are listening, so if you could just comment underneath if it's true or not. You guys
if you know.
If you know, yeah. And despite the large number of rooms, publications numbered them between 10 and 22.
Which there's not that many rooms.
No, I know there's 5 bedrooms.
And then there's
the sitting room.
The kitchen.
Another sitting room.
The living room.
The living room.
Yeah, there's not that many rooms. Maybe 10.
Maybe 10. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. The Strother Beeson family was relatively small. After the death of his first wife, Strother married again to Mary Margaret Miller, and they had a son, Jacob Miller Beeson. But she'd already separated from Strother by 1850 and taken her young son back to Pennsylvania. Strother's grown son from his first marriage, William Withrow Beeson, married Harriet Sophia Bacon in 1867. 2 years before his grandmother Judith died at the age of 84 in March of 1869. Strother built the mausoleum for her inside of the walled family cemetery across the street, and her name is etched along the top of the structure, which is true because we saw it. We got pictures. It's all there.
As one door closes, another opens, and the Beeson family soon welcomed a new family member into their home. Job Withrow Beeson, William and Harriet's firstborn son, was born just months later on May 11th, 1869. The 3 of them lived in the Beeson mansion with Strother and a couple teenage domestic helpers. When Job died at home in April of the following year, official records listed the cause of death as teething.
Which... teething?
I don't know.
I mean, back then I get it, but it's just weird.
Maybe an infection or something, or
could be
teething. He was chomping on stuff and choked.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird.
His mother Harriet had a hard time mourning the loss of her little boy, as any mother would. Legend contends that she walked across the street every night to light a candle in the tomb because he was afraid of the dark. It's also claimed that she rocked him to sleep each night. There is no verification on this behavior in either case, other than just family history, but it's not hard to imagine a grieving parent going to such lengths. Harriet, after all, only lived a short walk across the street from her deceased child entombed in the Beeson Mausoleum. But the stories go further than just a sorrowful mother visiting the grave of her deceased son. Family stories passed down through the years insist that she would change little Job's diapers in an attempt to breastfeed him as if he were still alive. And the Beesons eventually ran a gas line to the crypt in order to keep a torch lit all the time. Unable to deal with the loss of her son, Harriet Beeson went insane and was sent away by her family to be institutionalized, where she later died. And since her death, sobbing can be heard from the crypt, and the visions of a little boy or girl on horseback can be seen disappearing into the night.
I don't see how that's possible, since you got to put him in a casket.
Yeah, and that's what later on in our interview
we talked about.
Ken touches on that, how he doesn't think that that's accurate.
But it's a folklore, so we don't really know the whole story. So
yeah.
Despite the stories, Harriet Beeson did not go insane and die in any kind of insane asylum. Records indicate that she did move away, but only because of climate. And as her obituary notes, she died in South Carolina from a disease of the lungs at the age of 28 in 1875. The Beeson family, if haunted at all, was haunted by the specter of tuberculosis, aka consumption. And Strother himself hated Southwest Michigan's climate, believing it was responsible for the death of so many of his family members. Harriet was entombed with her baby boy the following year, and her husband William Withrow Beeson joined the rest of his family across the street after a bout of pneumonia in 1876. He was just 33. William's dad, Strother, didn't last much longer, just 2 more lonely years before he moved from the mansion to the mausoleum across the street. He wasn't completely alone, however. William W. and Harriet had another child months after losing little Job. Her name was Anna, and via his will, she inherited much of her grandfather's estate. He made arrangements that she be raised by William Broughton Beeson's wife and her aunt, Sarah Beeson. In his will, he even made sure that all expenses were paid for to spend winters some proper place in the southern states. Anne Lewis Beeson was born September 24th, 1870, in Niles, Michigan. She married Thomas Lyon Purdy on June 18th, 1902, in Niles. They were the parents of at least 4 sons and 1 daughter. She lived in Manhattan, New York in 1920 and North Salem, Westchester, New York for about 10 years. She died in 1956 at the age of 86.
Since Strother's passing, several other Beeson descendants have been interred into the mausoleum, including several from the Brownfield family, who were Strother's sister Lydia Ann's children and grandchildren. Lydia Ann's granddaughter, Edith Barker, married Orville Wilbur Barker, violinist with the Chicago Symphony for over 30 years. Their ashes now rest in the mausoleum. The crypt is also the final resting place for Edith's sister Lillian, which we got Lillian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot we did. We got Lillian to ring the bell.
Yep. At the end of our interview, the Greers were nice enough to bring out some of their ghost hunting equipment. And he had like a spirit box that will randomly shout out words that whatever the spirit chooses to say. And then they also had a little EMF reader that is attached to a bell that the spirits can ding. And they had a normal EMF reader. And so while they were showing us these, Lillian's name came up on the spirit box.
Yeah.
And then we got the bell to ring quite a few times.
Yes. And in the little speaker box that he brought up said, "I was shot." Didn't it say that? I was shot?
Something like that.
Something
I don't
about
remember.
being shot.
Yeah. So that was fun.
It was fun. It was cool.
So it was also the resting place for Edith's sister, Lillian, a beloved school teacher who lived for several years in the mansion. According to a 2002 South Bend Tribune article, Lillian used to laugh about the ghostly legends surrounding the place. She also discredited the notion that Harriet would do anything more than visit the tomb regularly. But the legend about the gas line wasn't exaggerated. The Tribune featured a picture of the pipeline going into the crypt that once carried carbide gas to provide light.
That's the true story of the Beeson as far as we can find. Now we'll get into the interview with Ken and Katherine Greer. Enjoy!
Have fun!
Hi guys, I'm Amanda. And
I'm Ange.
And this is
Katherine and Ken Greer
from Beeson Mansion. So for anybody who was curious, this is what our surprise anniversary thing was that we weren't telling anybody. We did a tour, so we'll be showing that along with pictures and things like that.
The most important thing about the Beeson is it's haunted.
It's beautiful.
And it's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
But it is haunted, and of course you guys know we like that weird stuff because we're weird. So
we got them here, and they're going to answer a little bit about
history and
things
that they know, and if they don't know, we'll find out some way or another.
We'll make it up, and it'll sound good.
Yeah, right. If you say it with confidence, people believe you. So do what you got to do.
right. Fake it till you make it.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about the history of the home?
I mean, we know what we read.
And really, we haven't found out much more than what we found online. I did reach out recently to the Niles Historic Society to get with them and see what they know that isn't out on the internet. What's on the internet is that the property was built in 1847 for William Macomber, who was a whiskey distiller in Niles. When he had the house built, it cost $65,000 back then. If you look it up nowadays, it's like $130-something million.
Oh,
To build a comparable property.
Right, just in materials.
Well, I can imagine with all the brickwork and
Yeah,
the details of everything.
The outer walls are 8 inches of brick, two layers.
We measured when they put in the windows, it's 8 inches.
Yeah.
Wow.
When we first got here, we had no heat, no water, no nothing. And when the heat came on, the house started to sweat. It was almost like in the hallway, you could see the walls. It almost looks like the walls were crying. It was literally dripping down the walls because it had condensation from the walls thawing out.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting, sad, and extensive. The biggest thing that I feel sad that is not out there is that Harriet and William had another child that never gets talked about, that I never heard in any lore or anything until we got the Beeson and I started to investigate. And I just would like that to be known that when the son died, she was pregnant with a daughter, and she gave birth about 4 months after Job died to a daughter named Anna. And she lived to be in her 80-year-old woman who lived a very full life. She was orphaned from her mother. Her father later died too. And her grandfather died. It was actually the grandfather who owned this house. The Harriet and William never really owned the house. It was the father who owned the house. When Harriet and William died, because William only lived another 2 or 3 years after Harriet. He went to a centennial and caught pneumonia, and he died in New York, and then his body was brought back here. So Anna lost her brother, her mother, her father, and then even a couple years later, her grandfather.
2 years after that.
So by the time Anna was 7, she was already lost all those people.
Oh my. Yeah, I knew about Anna. I don't know anything behind her story, but and I definitely didn't know that. So that's
And
interesting.
you probably had to dig just to find that.
Just that, yeah, they just said she had 4 sons and a daughter. 5 sons or a daughter?
Anna.
Yeah, that's all that it said really about her.
Her grandfather left her all of the money. He left her aunt to take care of her. He even left her money to go someplace warm because he felt that Michigan weather was the cause of many of the family's deaths.
I did read that too.
Yeah. So he was adamant that she have money to go someplace fitting for the winters. And then, ironically, she ended up in New York. And she married...
Which is just as cold and
right
there.
Right. So she married a Purdy, and they must have been quite wealthy. She must have married lateral, or even a step up, because there is a town. The town that they lived in was named after their same last name.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure she led quite a
well.
gifted life.
Yeah.
Well, she deserved that.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
Losing her entire family.
But it's nice to see that she still maintained her status and she lived a good, healthy life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it was actually her family that assigned the township guardianship of the crypt.
That kind of answered the next question we had, which was online. There's a few different stories, and what do you think is probably the truth? But you just talked about all of that. So,
But with Harriet, though, I know the lore is that, you know, she had like a mental breakdown after losing her son.
which is not
Which is not true. I read that she actually
lived
Well, she went down to, was it North Carolina?
South
Carolina.
She did die in South Carolina.
But it was from
Tuberculosis.
consumption. Yeah, tuberculosis. So a lot of people think that she just went to an insane asylum down there.
Do you think it's true that she actually went across the street and held the baby?
I think she went across the street. I think the baby was in a coffin and probably
Sealed
wasn't
shut.
accessible.
Okay.
We lost our son when he was 16 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So we weren't very far in the pregnancy, but we still have his ashes.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine.
Being that close.
Yeah, like you're gonna want to go visit your child. I look at him every day. He's on my dresser. You know,
Exactly.
like
I lost an 18-year-old, and I went through some questionable habits at that time, and I could never imagine knowing that my baby's body was over there and that I couldn't go see him.
Yeah.
So even if the stories are true, I believe they could be true because of a mother who has lost a child.
It's a dark.
It's a dark place.
And then 5 months later, holding a brand new baby.
Yeah.
I think in my feelings and just what I personally have been through, I feel she probably went through postpartum depression. And when she lost that baby, and then 4 months later, she's holding another small baby, maybe resembling him in many fashions, even in her eyes, I'm sure it sent her to a very dark place. And I would not be surprised if she didn't go to an asylum. And that's where she probably caught tuberculosis, because they were interlocked, a lot of mental health and to TB hospitals. So I think that there could be some connection.
Some truth in everything.
There is some truth,
Yeah.
I believe, to it. And she did have a gas line that was ran from here to the crypt because he was afraid of the dark. So if she went to that extent, I have to believe there probably is some truth into her wanting to still care for her baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I couldn't imagine, I couldn't imagine knowing that my baby's across the street and you can't hold them or touch them or look at them. Like,
Right.
it's just heartbreaking, you know? So I probably would be like, it's hard.
Yeah. And if you look at the crypt, the gate or the fence to the crypt is not centered. The mausoleum is centered, but the opening for
I did notice that.
the crypt is not centered. It lines up with the almost the Beeson's front door.
So it's like a straight
So
shot.
it's a straight shot over there, which is so inviting, you know, to anyone here, that they just made it real easy for her to go over there. And like I said, as a grieving mother, I just couldn't imagine what she went through. That would just be almost like a torture in itself.
So we know that you purchased the mansion not too long ago. You said about 4 months now.
We closed on
Just
December
about.
27th.
Okay. And you've been working to breathe some life and love back into it. What drew you to the property? What was your final say to be like, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to be?
About 4 years ago, we had bought an apartment building. We had a larger house, and we downsized into a smaller house that we had already owned and had rented out. And so we bought an apartment building kind of as a project, and we had just finished remodeling our last unit. And I was working from home, and the wife comes in and she goes, well, now that we finished our last unit, are you ready for your next project? And I said, no, hell no.
And what a project,
I'm
right?
done.
Yeah, he's looking at retirement at this point.
And then she goes, but it's haunted. And I just
Sold.
swiveled in my chair, and I go, is it the haunted Beeson Mansion on Bond Street? As a paranormal researcher and investigator, I had looked at all the haunted places in Michigan, done research on them. And Beeson really doesn't pop up because no one has been here to investigate it. So it's just kind of like,
A lure at that point.
there's very little history of it. But I had been talking to someone at work the day before, and he said, oh, I knew you were into the paranormal shows, but I didn't know you were like that serious into it. He goes, have you ever heard of the haunted Beeson Mansion? And I hadn't. we lived 3 miles down the road on 3rd Street. So we had passed by it a couple times, I'm sure, but didn't know it was haunted because it really wasn't out there. So he's asked me about that. We looked it up that day, and then the very next day she asks me about it. And we pretty much called a real estate agent right away, and we took a tour of the property about 5 p.m. that same day.
Yeah, and we were with our oldest son, and our realtor tried to talk us out of it.
We asked her, how much would you bid on it? And she goes, no.
Nothing. You don't want it? No, nothing.
Too much work, you don't want it.
Too much.
We said, but we do want it.
So we went home and we sat down, we had a family meeting, and we decided on the number that we felt we could comfortably offer. And there was other people interested, so they basically said, we're not taking any offers until Monday. You have to come with your highest and best good. And we actually were outbid. We didn't get it.
And this was in August.
No, that was in October. Yes, October.
October is when it's listed. This is 6 weeks later. So
Yeah, October. And so we got outbid, and I was sad, and I went over, I took flowers to the crypt, and I told Harriet, I said, I'm sorry, Harriet, we got outbid, we did our best we could, I'll still come visit you, just, we won't be living across the street anymore. So I dealt with it and moved on, and we kept watching. We wanted to see what it sold for, we wanted to see, how much we missed it by. We were just waiting for it to close, and it wasn't closing. So we contacted our realtor again. She goes, I know, I've been watching too. And so she reached out to the listing agent, and the listing agent said, you know what, it's falling apart. I think you need to get your people back in and tell them to come a little bit higher, and hopefully we can get this closed. So we were back in, and we had no idea. We had already chalked it off. We moved on.
I already scheduled a vacation in Vegas.
Yep. And so then we were back in, and we had a mortgage guy, and everyone was racing, because they said, well, if you want it, you have to close by the end of the year.
Right.
And so we were like, oh my God, this can't be. So we had to do some creative financing, because obviously the Beeson was so in desperate need of help that it couldn't go many of the loan avenues. So we had to run it as a business loan, which tied to our other property. So that's how we got the Beeson.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I say it's a good choice.
Yeah.
I say you guys are lucky.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful place.
Well, most days, we feel blessed. And then I brought Harriet some more flowers and said, we're back in, girl, we're back in. So I promised her that, we would make it as beautiful as we possibly could, that we would try and restore anything and everything, and just stick with us and give us a chance, and
Pull some strings.
yeah, help us get to the finish line here, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were looking at it, and we had to come for the furnaces, and it was just me and the realtor, and we couldn't get the back door open. And she was already, like anti-spirits, anti all of this.
First time she didn't even go to the basement.
She wouldn't even go to the basement. And so we couldn't get the
Keypad.
realtor keypad open. And she's like, oh, come on, Harriet, you gotta help us. I was like, oh, you're converted. She was converted. And then she ultimately did go in the basement before it was all said and done. But it was just funny and ironic that even though she was anti, we were reaching for anything and everything that could help us get to the finish line. And we did. And other than the plumbing, most days we're okay with all the obstacles. Everything takes twice as long at the Beeson to fix, though. Even just hanging a picture, you hit brick. So you need special screws to hang anything here. The windows, when they were working on the windows, it took them a whole week to do 6 windows because nothing is square, and there's no real wood in that brick. It's all brick. So it's a lot of learning curve. But even the guy who inspected the chimneys, he came in with a bad attitude, and he was like, he didn't really want to be here. And by the time he left, he was thanking me for the privilege to come and work on the Beeson. So everybody that comes here is just glad to be a part of the betterment of this beautiful home. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, like the township water guy and the furnace guys, we usually offer them a tour, and they're very happy to go on the tour and learn about the property.
Yeah. And even our plumber, who had the worst job in this house. I mean, he's been knee deep in it all.
Yeah.
And he's still
Happy to come back.
happy to come back and appreciate
that's
the
awesome.
opportunity to work on the Beeson.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, you guys have obviously experienced stuff here. What was your first experience to where you know it was really haunted?
Well, that was,
2 weeks after we bought it,
well, wait, I gotta digress a little bit. So when we're getting ready to close, I said, are you scared? You know, what have we done? What have we gotten ourselves into? I said, what are you most afraid of? You know, that this is gonna be broke or whatever. He says, I'm afraid that it might not be haunted.
Oh,
Okay.
would that be the worst?
Yeah, that's what he said. That would be the worst.
there's things you can do to make it haunted. But
Yeah.
if we can avoid it, that'd be better.
You do have that coal furnace downstairs.
We do.
Right.
For the
And then our
bodies.
disclaimer when we have hunts, there's a hidden line in there that says if you die during a hunt, we get to keep your body.
Yeah. So then tell them the experience.
So after we had bought the property, we wanted to stay here because it's kind of not exciting if you don't.
Right. Yeah.
So we had 0 out of 6 toilets working, no heat. Electric was good. That was about the only thing. We had the kitchen sink water worked, but that was it. So we set up the air mattress, turn on some space heaters, and we'd go do work and then come back and heat back up. And the first night we stayed, and it was about 10:30, and we were going to bed, and we heard footsteps upstairs. It was just pacing back and forth, like 5 steps. And it started at about 10:30 and went all night until about 1.
Oh, wow.
And then just
It
stopped.
was just continuous. And you could tell it was like hard high heels on wood.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we're thinking it might have been Harriet then.
Yeah.
Because it was coming from her room.
Yeah. So
We assume it's Harriet, but
we don't really know. We've had a professional team come through now, and they're still working on all the data, but they got some good things on their machines and their hits. We've had some mini tours, and every time the machines all come with something.
Now, upstairs you were telling us about when men walk into Harriet's room. You discussed that
there
again.
was one guy that I have been ghost hunting with many times over the years, and he's been to about 150 different locations. And he couldn't enter the room because he felt like there's almost like a force field pushing him back. And people kind of get that pushback, or they'll feel like a heaviness in their chest. And during the private investigation, they actually asked, do you like having men in your room? And they heard no.
They heard it in their ears, and they heard it on their machines.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you have any issues walking to that room, or?
Not the heaviness in my chest. I definitely get an electric feeling. And the hair, not on the back of my neck, but on my head, feels like it's standing up.
So that was actually kind of leading into our next 2 questions was, have you seen any apparitions or experienced any physical sensations like cold spots or being touched or the hair standing up on your head or anything like that?
When we just had the birthday tour. No, it wasn't the birthday tour. Well, I think it was the birthday tour. Anyway, someone got their hair pulled downstairs.
Okay.
So that was kind of a physical thing, and that hadn't happened. The thing with the fact that it's never been investigated or documented or anything with any of the modern day ghost hunting equipment, is that we're still trying to find a baseline. So we don't have that established yet. But as we have gone on from that first person saying they felt a push in their chest to now another team having documented the no, and then we had 2 workers who we gave a tour to, and both of them individually said they had felt chest pains coming out of her room, and we didn't tell them because normally I don't like to plant seeds, especially now when we're getting baselines. I don't like to, put it in there. So I want them to tell me what they're feeling, and both of them individually said they had a chest pain. So we think at least that much is starting to be a baseline, that she does not like men in her room. And it's not all men, because our son is 30 and he goes in there. And we've had another 20-esque person go in there and feel nothing. So I think it's just some, and I'm wondering if it's not age related.
That's
too.
what I was getting ready to ask, is the age of the men. Maybe she had some traumatic experience with older men.
Or she thinks they're cute.
Right.
Well,
Right.
during that private hunt, there was a newer spirit that was hitting on one of the guy investigators
Oh.
and wanted to fight his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
The last person that we believe passed in the Beeson was within the last 5 years, if not sooner. I'm not going to say her name. We know it, but I think I posted it on my page, but I just try not to publicize that too much. But she OD'd, and it's hard when you encounter a spirit that has passed that way. Sometimes you are the bearer of bad news, because sometimes they don't know that they have passed. They feel that it's just a trip.
Still on the trip.
They're still on a trip. So we have told her that she passed, and we have also given her permission to move on, and she is afraid and she doesn't want to move on. She cries a lot. They've recorded her crying and stuff. So it's not just the Harriet and Joe that come here. I believe there's other spirits. We've had an Indian shaman. Well, by today's standards, by the white man's standards, he would be considered an Indian shaman or medicine man. And he normally cleanses a house of spirits. Well, he is a dear friend of ours, many years. And he came, and he says there's at least 3. And they try to avoid him because they know what he does, and they don't want to go. So he has been told not to bring any of his equipment to cleanse the house, that they are perfectly fine where they are, and that they avoided him. They kind of, worked in the shadows around him. So that was kind of interesting.
So you guys were talking about upstairs how you had a little ball and to see if it moves.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything else move, or have you seen figures? Like, have you physically seen anything?
I saw a little child out the window, and by the time I got to a second window, it was already gone. I don't know if it was a spirit. I assume it was a spirit, but I don't know if it was a spirit. So actually, knowing that it's a spirit and seeing it, no, we have not. But we were in this very room, and as you see, it's kind of dusty. We're working in here, and we got tired and we went to eat. And when we came back, there was a child's handprint over in that corner on the floor in the dust. There was 2 of them.
The board is only 3 inches wide, and pretty much the entire hand fit within those 3 inches.
Oh, wow.
And when we posted it, because Ken took a picture of it, and we posted it on our Facebook page, there was a lady who chimed in whose aunt used to clean the Beeson. And she said she would clean this very room, and every time they would clean the windows here, they would come, and there would be child handprints on the windows.
Oh, man. How annoying, though.
Right. Right.
For us in the dust, it was nice.
Yeah. But they have to clean the handprints every day on the windows.
Right.
We had an investigation later that night, and one of the people there was psychically gifted, and they said that they're sitting here and they saw a little toddler crawling along the wall behind the people. He goes, whose kid is that?
That's creepy.
Oh, yeah. Like, I love this stuff, but it's creepy.
Kids are creepy.
Yeah.
Kids are creepy.
And a previous owner, so when we started using the equipment, I don't use it when I'm not doing an investigation. I try, if they want to let me know they're here, then they can. But we were charging the machines in the kitchen, and they were just jabbering on and on and on. And I would go out and load up the car and then come back in, and they would jabber again. So I was like, maybe it's where they're at. Nothing was really hooked up, though. There was no microwave, there was no fridge, there was nothing that would make the machines go off. So we pulled them just for a baseline again. And they didn't get anywhere else. So we're like, well, maybe it was some kind of electrical
interference type thing.
Yeah. But then we went on to hear a story of one of the previous owners. I'm not sure where in the chain it fell, but he was a contractor. He was working and he came home and he went to the fridge. And while he was in the fridge, a small child came up to him and said that they wanted ice cream. Well, he had a teenage daughter that babysat children all the time. So he was tired and he was cranky, and so he went to the stairs and he yelled up to his daughter and said, hey, one of your kids is down here and wants ice cream. You need to keep better watch of them and come get him ice cream. Well, she came down the stairs and she said, Dad, I'm not babysitting anyone.
Oh.
And they went to the kitchen and the child was gone.
How do you sleep at night after that?
Well, and then our own personal experience, Ken will tell you this, because he was most creeped out about this.
This is probably the creepiest thing that I've had happen is I got up about 3:30 to get a drink.
Oh, the 2 hour.
Went into
Yes.
the living room and just kind of sat there scrolling on the phone for about half an hour and went back to bed. And when I went out to go to work in the morning, 7:30, the basement door was open. And we've got coats hanging along the side of the door, and it latches really well, so there's no way it could have been partially open and just kind of open by its own.
And we have the dogs, and we have a cat now, and we're very meticulous about closing that door.
And guys, we have seen this door, and
Yeah, it
doesn't open on its own.
No.
And
So-
luckily I didn't hear anything coming up the stairs because I would have screamed at you.
I don't really get too freaked out by much of any of it. But and then that night,
Oh, that night I did.
he locked the bedroom door.
I got that door, and I did lock it.
Oh my God, why are you locking the door? Like, that's just gonna help.
It's going to keep them out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have kind of done a protection over our bedroom. But I went to go to the bathroom one night, and I swore somebody was staring at me from my chair, which is in the corner. I just got this weird feeling when I passed it. So I woke him up, because he's closest to the bathroom, and I said, God, I think somebody's in here with us. He's like, what? I said, somebody's in my chair. So he got out his phone, and he got the app, and sure enough, there was a figure that showed up on his phone when he took a picture
app will
of
draw
the
a
wedding.
wireframe around when it detects people. So it's like an SLS camera is what they call it. And if it detects a person, it makes a wireframe around them. And you can see someone just in the chair.
He'd go
This
over,
way,
nothing,
this way, nothing.
just in
We
the
got
chair,
the chair, and it was just right there.
sitting in the chair watching us
Yeah.
sleep.
So you guys use a lot of the technology, but have you gone old school and brought up, I saw you had one, the Ouija board.
No
Have you
Ouija's
tried
yet.
contact?
Yeah, we haven't done a Ouija board. It's still sealed.
Still sealed. I'm thinking maybe special for Halloween we'll do a seance.
Yeah. You need the right people who
Yeah.
know how to use the Ouija board.
Yes. they're
Otherwise, it can get bad.
Yeah.
It can get bad.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we have a baseline here and that we've established a trust and that we don't want any negative
to come in.
to come in.
Right.
So have you had any experiences have you noticed any of the experiences in specific areas or rooms of the house?
I think
Is it everywhere?
It's kind of busy. It is everywhere. I think Harriet's has got a strong presence to it. I think this room has a strong presence to it. I'd say those are the two
Main
most.
hotspot.
Yeah.
Okay.
The basement a little bit. Living room, the living room not so much. In our bedroom, we've kind of tried to protect it with, a bubble of white light, and that seems to have kept most things out.
But when you're up at night and you walk through the hallway, you always sense someone is looking at you from the top of the
Okay,
stairs.
so we got to the top of the stairs, and I had gotten chills
Yeah.
at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And so okay, I have my own ghost stories. Angela, on the other hand, has never experienced anything. I get feelings of presence. Like, I just know.
Yeah.
And you can just feel it. And it's hard to describe.
Because you know when someone's looking at it.
Yes, or just somebody being in the same area. Angela, unfortunately, has not had that experience, so she's still a little bit skeptical, but she believes, but she's still a little
I'm open to it.
Yes.
But I'm such a skeptic through and through.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
You need that. You need that.
Yeah, I want the proof. I want to believe.
Yeah.
Right.
I want something to happen so bad for that proof.
Yeah.
And with AI and computer technology, everything can be faked.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So you can't
So hard
really
to be
trust
that
anything
concrete.
that's posted in any videos online. You almost have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah. I had this painting, and it was a skull. I hung it in my room. And I'm the only one home, and I hear, boom, and then something fall. And I'm like, what in the world? So, of course, I look around the house, and my painting is a canvas painting. So the nail sticks out this far.
Yeah.
There's no way it's falling off by itself. And so I'm like, okay, that's weird. A couple of days later, maybe a week or two, I hear boom, and it falls again. I said, okay, that's it. And I threw it in the closet. I was done with it. Nobody was home. There's no way that thing's falling off the wall.
It was new to you?
Yeah.
You just got it?
I had just gotten the house.
Okay.
So I had the painting.
Yeah.
And then I was decorating, and I had put the painting up because I was unpacking and stuff. It had been up for probably a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and ever since then, and I've been there for 6 or 7 years now, and it's in my closet. That's where it stays.
So do you feel the house is haunted and they didn't like the picture?
Yes. Because I also had another experience where I was laying in bed, and my brother had lived with me at the time, was at work. My son was not home again. For some reason, I always have to face the door, so I had opened up my eyes, and there was, in the door jamb, just half of a body. Like they were standing at the door just staring, and it was just a shadowy figure. It was tall, long hair. And I told this story so people already know. I went to reach for my gun, and by the time I grabbed my gun and I looked back up, it was gone. So of course, I walked the whole house.
Yeah.
Nothing there.
Because you're not going to sleep otherwise.
Exactly. And nothing there. I looked outside, front door, back door, not a single soul.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Somebody.
somebody's there. They're not out to hurt me,
Right.
but there's somebody's there,
Yeah.
and they didn't like the picture, apparently.
One night, you
It was like a dinner party in the
Yeah.
hallway.
Oh.
You could hear like mingling, that like, I don't know, just like a Victorian type dinner party or something going on out in the hallway. They were chit-chatting, they were carrying on, you could hear the like glasses almost. It was just like a whole little party out in the hallway. I mean, I'm assuming the rest of the house too, but that's just outside the door, so I assume hallway. Coming up and down stairs, whatever. And then nothing.
And we've heard conversation from this area, and it sounded like it was a radio.
Yeah.
It was kind of tinny and kind of radio-like. And I think the one private group caught music coming from here.
Tell them about when we were sanding the floors.
So we were sanding the bedroom floors, and it was like day 2 of sanding with the drum sander. So
Which is
it's
very loud.
we're on the second belt of the grit, and all of a sudden we just got a localized perfume smell, and it was very flowery, not real complex.
Like an old lady perfume. You know
Definitely
this.
an
You
old
know the
Yeah.
scent. Like
It just kind of
Avon makes
Came
it
in,
look good,
and
It's just,
it was there, and it was checking us out, seeing what we were doing. Because they say that when you're doing construction remodeling, it seems to stir things up. So they must have liked what they saw because the smell didn't change. It didn't.
Just walked her back out.
Well, and I've heard that when you smell a certain, like if you smell perfume, that there is somebody close to you that has passed on, that's their scent.
Yeah.
I've actually had that happen. I forgot all about that. I've actually had that happen several times right after my grandma had passed away.
Oh, sure.
And, I would be like, oh my God, that smells like my grandma. And
Yeah.
of course I'm looking around and she's not. And it's happened, I mean, probably a handful of times throughout the last 20 years that I've had this happen. And I totally forgot that that's one of the things that people say.
Yeah.
That when you smell perfume and somebody was passed on, they're close to you.
Yeah, she was close.
Keep track of the dates, see if they're important.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
And then she, that same day twice, the first time, and then she came back a few hours later. And then when we got to the kitchen, same machine,
Yeah.
same type of scenario, but she only came once then, and it was a shorter visit.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any experiences before you moved into the Beeson? Like
I've
growing
been
up? or-
interested in the paranormal since I was in grade school. I used to go to the library and check out the weird books about Bigfoot and UFOs and ghosts and all that stuff.
Rowdy, show me your shirt.
Oh, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Yeah. We do the paranormal conventions. He's gone to Waverly multiple times, and
The coolest thing I ever had was at Waverly one time. I was kind of alone on the second floor, and a 2-inch ball of white light appeared. And it was moving really slow, and it went in this big circle. And it was self-illuminating, so it wasn't, it's an orb, but it wasn't like a camera orb. And as it's moving, it's leaving a trail of light behind it. It just moved really slow, and then it moved off, and then just disappeared.
The original house that we bought in Michigan, he had went to Waverly, and they did a auction, and he won this creepy doll. Families lived there with TV, and so people bring toys for the spirit children, and they can only, you can only have so many in this place, so they auctioned them off. So he decides he's going to bid and wins this creepy doll. So he brings it home, and the doll was active. The doll had this weird laugh kind of cry thing going on. And
It laughed too long. Instead of going, ha ha ha, it went, ha 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 ha
Yeah.
ha.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I was home alone, and I was cleaning the boys' rooms, which were upstairs, and I heard this thing, and I'm like, nobody's here with me. And I went down, and the creepy doll was in our rocking chair. The rocking chair was rocking, and the doll was laughing.
Oh my god.
Oh my. I got chills just thinking.
Yeah.
And we had a telescope set up for years in the same exact spot. The boys didn't even use it. At that point, it just became decor. And the doll, I swear the doll knocked it over.
Right.
The doll knocked
It was on a sturdy tripod and just all one day fell
Yeah.
over.
I was like, was that you? Did you do that? And then we had a potpourri bowl that sat on our entertainment center. And our entertainment center was over one of those giant ass TVs back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And we had a cat. I'm going to be honest. We had a cat, and I was not a good duster. So there was dust all over up there. No cat prints, no nothing. That doll took that bowl of potpourri and whipped it across the room, and the potpourri went everywhere.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And that same Indian shaman friend of ours, he is blind, so he cannot see. Well, he came to our house for something,
Birthday party.
and he said, I don't know what is over here, but I'm getting a bad vibe. And it was that baby doll.
Yeah.
It was that baby doll. we had a house fire and the baby died in the house fire. So,
Or did it
or we're still not sure that the baby didn't
start the fire?
not start the fire, but make the fire worse. Yeah. Because we lost everything in that house fire, and it was over something very small, like it was a tea light candle. So we're not sure that the baby didn't feed the fire, but that's a whole other story. We blame the baby. Yeah. But so that was probably an experience that we had. And then when my son passed, he committed suicide, and again, the Indian friend came to comfort us and cleanse the house. And he said that my son's spirit stayed over on my side of the bed. He couldn't see. He didn't know whose side of the bed was whose. And he said he's over here. He likes being over here, and it was my side of the bed. And I cried myself to sleep quite a bit back then, and so we attribute that my son stayed close at that time.
Close to his mama.
Yeah, close to his mama, because she was not handling it well. But so those were some other experiences that we've had outside of the Beeson. And I've never really, even though Ken's into the ghost hunting, I've gone with him on a few things. I do not like to go to cemeteries. It's just kind of a moral code for me. No judgment to anyone who does it.
I hope not, because we actually did a photo shoot at cemetery.
There you go.
We did, yeah.
There you go. I mean, it's all good. It's just a personal thing, and so I don't do those. But I've gone on quite a few.
Yeah. Yep. We've done Ashmore Estates. I've done Waverly. I've done Weeping Willows. Those are some of the more out there places. Whispers Estate.
I was looking into Whispers before.
I like that.
That was a good one.
Yeah. And it's pretty available. I know Ashmore's pretty booked.
Yeah.
We like going to conventions also, where you can go and see people giving presentations about different things.
And their experiences.
Right. And the vendors are old school.
Yeah. So how has living in a haunted house affected your day-to-day life?
I mean,
Is
is
there
there
any
any
effect?
It's a lot of work.
No. Sometimes they'll tap it on the shoulder, and you'll give them some attention, and that's about it.
Yeah, like when we have the bell, sometimes.
The last investigation, it didn't go off hardly at all.
No.
Previous ones, it would be ringing every couple of minutes.
And that is my favorite piece of equipment. I love the bell. I feel it's simple. Any time frame of ghosts can obviously
They
use
recognize
it.
it, they know what it is. And basically, it's believed that ghosts can manipulate the EMF field, which is an electromagnetic field around things. And this has got an EMF detector inside of it, so if a ghost were to come up and touch it, it would cause a change, causing the bell to go off.
Okay.
Most of the other devices kind of run off of that. So the K2 is the handheld device. It's got the green, yellow, red lights that you see a lot of times. Same idea. And then there's things like an Ovilus, which is like a 4-inch box, a dictionary built into it. And it'll kind of monitor changes in the EMF field and temperature, things like that. And it's kind of like a 2004 dictionary. And it's believed that the spirits can like request words out of that dictionary, and it'll appear on screen and say it out loud.
Well,
That's one of the more advanced.
But sometimes we leave the equipment on, and so you say day-to-day life. So you'll be in the kitchen, and then they'll ring the bell or something. And so then I just say, I hear you. I'm in the kitchen. If you want to come in here and talk, I'm always here to listen. So, I mean, sometimes you feel like you're talking to yourself, or, is there really someone there? So you feel a little crazy, but if you are in a haunted house, it kind of becomes normal.
It's normal, yeah.
So that's why I say the bell, because the last time, it's hard to know when it's on, and they can ring it even when it's not on. And so if you leave it out or whatever, and then you just hear it, you always think they're wanting you, or they're wanting some type of attention or something. Yeah. So I try and stop whatever I'm doing and give them at least acknowledgement and thank them for, participating. I do feel like from when we first bought the property to now, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
They seemed very scared in the beginning, like they would just watch us and be standoffish. And now they kind of tend to interact a little bit, even on the day-to-day life stuff. So that's always encouraging.
Mm-hmm. I think the past tenants of the house kind of scared them away from people for a while, so they were staying back.
They were watching us as much as we were waiting for them.
It seemed like they're staying at the top of the stairs, watching and waiting and seeing what we were all about.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you weren't like the past tenants.
Right.
Yeah.
Now they're a little more interactive.
Yeah. That's good.
When we have the ghost hunts, I have like 4 K2s and different people holding them, different places in the house, and you ask questions and they will almost always light up.
Yeah. And
That's really cool.
And the weird thing that we're learning, again, because, we don't have anything to go by, but we divide the group up. And so he takes half and I take half. And this last time, he was asking questions and wasn't getting any responses in the basement. But we were getting weird responses upstairs. And then when they came upstairs, we put it 2 and 2 together, and the questions they were asking downstairs, we were getting the answers for upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they said they encountered an Indian chief.
We were able to see it on the SLS, the wireframe on the SLS. So we saw it downstairs, kind of dancing. And so we started asking questions, and, are you an Indian? And what tribe were you with? And they started getting those answers upstairs.
We got chief, leader, we got all of those tribe. We got those responses on our machine up here, and we didn't know what they were for because they were just randomly popping through.
Random.
And then when they came up, they said, "Oh yeah, I said, "How was it? Were you guys getting it?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we talked to an Indian." And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "We got and they were still on my thread. And so we showed them, and it was like weird.
Wow.
And then we had a guy, he was here. We got the name Walter, and then a couple more words in between, and it said smashed windows. And the guy goes, "Oh my gosh." And we're like, "What?" Again, I'm here with them, and there's only like 6 of us in my group. And so he says, the hairs on my head just stood up. I was like, "Why? What's wrong?" He's like, "Well, when you got Walter," he goes, "I was kind of a little intrigued, but I thought, well, maybe not." And then smashed windows. He had gotten a call just before he came to the Beeson for the tour from his friend, Walter, who got locked out of his car and was so frustrated about getting locked out of his car, he was going to smash his windows.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
And he didn't tell any of us that. I mean, that's just a call he got on the way to the Beeson.
Wow.
And so that all came through on the machines.
That's actually kind of cool too. Like that's all cool.
Weird. It's weird, right? Yeah.
Very weird.
So now we're going to try and do things a little different and have, like, normally we start out as a main group and we go through the history and stuff like that. And then we go separate. We divide the group.
We do the history, then we do the tour.
Yeah, but then we divide the group.
Then we divide it up.
And then we don't really come back. Sometimes people leave early. Sometimes, it's whatever you want. No requirements. But now we're thinking if we should have like a little powwow at the end to go over some of the responses that we got to see if they connected the dots for the other group. Mm-hmm. Because if we're all in the same house and we're getting their answers, they think they're not getting anything, and we're getting their responses, and we think, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So it will kind of help mesh some of the pieces together.
Yeah.
So that's how we think we're going to change things around a little bit. So we're learning as we go.
Yeah, there's no manual for this
No,
stuff.
no.
Not at all.
There is, we didn't get it
Yeah.
yet.
How have your friends reacted? Your friends and family? How they reacted to?
They knew we were weird.
They knew we were weird, yeah. Even our realtor, she knew we were weird.
Yeah.
She was like, it was just
Not the craziest thing
Greers.
we've had.
Not the craziest thing we've looked at. Our son is a non-believer. And so he just kind of like, my parents
Whatever.
doing their thing, whatever.
It's normal.
Don't waste my inheritance.
Right, yeah. When can I sell the Beeson?
Yeah.
That's all he's looking at.
Yeah. Have you guys had any feelings of like fear, anxiety, calmness, like personally? Do you feel
Like,
normal?
what's that energy for
Yeah,
this?
Yeah.
I'd say normal.
Do you guys feel like
No
you
real-
should be in fear of anything?
No, not here.
Okay.
No, I sense sadness, a lot of sadness
Yeah.
here, apprehension, but no fear,
Okay.
no fear,
I mean, that's good.
no malicious, other than the couple hair pulls that we've gotten.
Well, that's just a little tongue laying over here.
That's kind
Yeah,
of what I'm
I
thinking.
think that-
It
I don't
wasn't
think
like
it was meant in
it
a
wasn't
bad
like a
Even
scar or scratch or anything like
scratches
that.
aren't malicious
Yeah.
necessarily.
I haven't really noticed anything
Okay.
evil.
I mean, that's good though. Having not feeling that fear. I feel like haunted or not, feeling comfortable and safe in your house is
Yeah.
huge.
Well, I think part of it is, we do call it Beeson Haunted Mansion, but technically we didn't really give it that name. It kind of has
Yeah.
evolved to that name.
Right.
But I think when you say haunted, people do get that sense of fear and anxiety
Yeah.
just associated with that word. But I feel that we live among the spirits. It's
Oh,
not
absolutely.
so much, it's haunted. It's inhabited by spirits.
Yes.
And we share the house with them. We'll never really own the Beeson. We're just going to be caretakers of the Beeson while we're here. And we just want to make it beautiful again and a place that they want to be home to, too.
And invite their friends.
Yeah, invite their friends. We'll just have them all
The
over.
more the merrier.
Let's have another party in the hallway.
Yeah. And it is kind of assumed, or we've heard, that other people in this area have had experiences in their homes as well. So it just could be a hot spot.
It's
We're
just
by
like
the fort.
It's not the Beeson, the Fort St. Joseph is a mile and a half, 2 miles over there. And this park used to be a Odd Fellows Lodge. And if you think about like the Masons,
They're kind of like the creepy cousin of
Yeah.
the Oddfellows.
the Odd Fellows are a little stranger even.
They wore the
That's
paper
hard
masks
to be even
and
stranger.
stuff like that.
So they must have donated it to the township at some point, and now it's a park. So Mason halls have a lot of energy pent up and kept within them, and I'm sure the Oddfellows are the same. So when the building was, I don't know what happened to it yet, but torn down or burned up, I'm not sure. That energy needed to go someplace.
And it tends to be that if you do have spirits, they kind of attract
Right.
more spirits. So it's not like we're only working with the original
Right.
ones. There was a car accident right over by the river, and
Where's
we
that?
had people who feel that they may have gotten them on some of their equipment.
Actually, that was Ariel's boyfriend.
So people, as they've chimed in, they said it was an accident, that they drowned,
Yeah.
and those words make me think of that. So I'm not saying it is them, I'm saying that it could be.
Right. Well, and I think, me personally, this is just me talking, I feel like, especially this being with what it is, the mausoleum across the street, people have died in this house, that just like the living, the dead talk amongst each other, and if they feel comfortable, then they invite more,
Yeah.
ghosts or, people into their little circle. So it very well could be people who have not died on this property or in this house coming, because if those, if they just feel comfortable.
Well, and I'm going to be curious to see, because we have a red door now, and red doors are supposed to block the spirits from coming in. And I intend to paint that door black. So I'm going to be interested to see if it opens a more easily transitionable pathway for them. So
that would be
we'll
interesting.
see if it really holds true, blocks some stuff out. So just like in the winter, we won't use salt. That tends to block them too.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to use salt on our driveway and stuff like that. And so it does change your thinking a little bit because you don't want to impede them from being where they want to be, right? So some things are just a thought process too.
It's really comforting that you take such thought and consideration to them, you know.
And I know they feel it. I know they see it.
This isn't just your home, it's theirs too.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that you have that consideration.
We've had a couple of the investigators ask them, do you like what they're doing with your home? And they have given positive responses. So we're hoping that it's a true, legit communication and that they are happy. I think if they weren't happy, there would be a little more pushback. You know, the window guys, they said they didn't know that this was a thing, but after we started talking, they realized it's a thing. They said they had went through so many batteries at this location. They didn't understand what was going on.
Drilled so many times.
Those are batteries.
And then we told them that that's what they do. They take your battery charge, and they were like, "Oh, that makes so much more sense now." So, so it was just kind of another thing, you know, another layer that connecting the dots. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Even during the private hunt, one of the cameras was showing like 86% battery, and all the other ones were like 93. And then while they were kind of watching it, it went back up to like 89.
Oh.
Which
It's like
is
somebody
not
was sitting
a
there
normal
using
thing.
the battery and then walked away, and it went back up.
Back up. Wow.
So they're even charging the batteries.
That's right.
They just
Stop drain.
Yeah.
Stop the drain. But that was an interesting scenario too.
Yeah.
We think we know of one child that either died here or died from an injury here. Someone told us that there was a kitchen fire, curtains caught on fire, and the child got burned. And they don't know if he died on site or he died at the hospital from the injuries sustained from the burn, but he did pass away. And then I think we have other children's spirits here too. And someone said, well, if children didn't die there, why would their spirits be here? Well, it used to be a daycare, and even crossed over spirits tend to come back to visit places where they had happy experiences. So they may just be here just because it was a happy place for them. Mm-hmm. And that may be what other spirits come here for. Mm-hmm. Because if Harriet lived here or felt she got cheated from living here, she may come here just because this was
It's
home.
like a safe place.
This was home.
You know, and like I said earlier, like they talk and they feel like if this is a safe place, come. It's open.
Yeah. There's 11 souls in that crypt over there, and 2 are in the ground. So, I mean, they could come and go over at any time, any of them. It doesn't necessarily have to be Harriet, William, or Joe.
Right.
And then, like I said, the deaths on the street or the deaths non-planned in the house.
And Native Americans lived in this area a lot, and the Sauk Trail trading route was right past here going to the fort.
Yep. So, I mean,
So it's a lot of traffic.
they could have died in battle or anything.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think we don't know for sure who it is. We have no way to know that just yet. And they may never give us a direct name. But we know names, we ask for certain indications that it's them or who it is, and they give us those. But as long as they want to stay, we're willing to have them, or they have us. And we would never want anyone to come in who felt that they needed to push them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even provoke them.
Yeah, we don't allow that either.
No, I would definitely
No.
No provoking.
No provoking.
No provoking, no summoning.
No summoning, no none of that. If we have a night where they're just non-communicative, I'm sorry that's just how it is. You know, some nights I don't feel like talking, so I don't think they want to talk either. He's gone to some of the most haunted places in the country and had nights of nothing.
Yeah.
It's just how it is, and I would never want my roommates to feel threatened or coerced or bullied, anything like that.
Right. What do you say to the skeptics?
That's fine.
We appreciate them. We do appreciate them because then it helps us hone in the questions. Mm-hmm. It helps us know maybe what would trigger them. I've had some real life experiences that can't be explained, and I value the skeptics. I like the seeds.
Yeah. I mean,
somewhere in between skeptic and ooh, everything's an orb.
Right.
Would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not the orb people here. It's a very dusty house, and when they say they see an orb, I'm like,
Right.
You're gonna see something.
Yeah. So that we're not that. I'm not as educated as Ken, but I think I have common sense, and I think that we are educated enough people that we stay real about it, what it could be, and if you're here and you debunk something, great. We're open to that.
And, you know, with the skeptics, like, it just makes all the stuff that they can't explain.
Mm-hmm.
So what Ken's really telling you is, that's fine, Angela.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yes. And I
We'll
can't wait to
prove you
be
wrong.
proved wrong. Yeah. I look forward to it.
That's right.
I do think that I just ask if people come, if they want to come for a visit. First of all, call. Don't just show up at the door.
Don't be peeking through the windows.
We will be posting information about their Facebook page where you can find all of this stuff. That way you can, if you're interested in a tour or whatever, calling, you know, to set something up.
Yeah.
We'll have all that information linked.
Beeson Haunted Mansion, link at the bottom.
But when they come, that they just have an open mind. Because sometimes I do think that the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back.
Yeah.
So if we have a large group of skeptics who are just closed off, it kind of puts a wall around you, and that kind of eliminates your connection. Mm-hmm. So I just ask that if you are a skeptic, just come with an open mind at that particular time, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I do think
Don't
what
have it
you
so
put in
open
is
that
what
your
you get
brains
out.
fall out.
Yeah. But we can agree to disagree, and
Yes.
that's all great.
Mhm.
And not ever saying anyone has to believe in anything that we believe in. I think that makes a bad world.
Very boring.
Yeah,
Very boring.
yeah. But if you come with an open mind, I think then you are in the right mindset to experience things if those things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I agree.
just come with an open mind and an open heart, and you never know what could happen.
So I know that you guys are under construction and you just bought this. It is going to be a beautiful, beautiful place when you're done with it. What are your plans?
The stages were that we were going to do a Airbnb and then eventually do a bed and breakfast. We hoped for a year out after being here and coming into some of the hurdles that the Beeson presents. It may be a little bit longer out there, but we do have where we're always constantly posting about new things that we've developed and stuff like that. At this point, the TikTok and Facebook is where we are at as far as engaging in the public and stuff. But eventually the goal is a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
That is
That
where
would be
we would love to be.
Really, I would definitely stay here.
Yes.
Then we'll
I'll stay here right now. Give me a sleeping bag.
See, that's,
we'll clean up the upstairs.
and that's the thing, that I have not been afraid of anything. But I thought the other day, I was like, you know what, if somebody came and asked me to sleep upstairs, I don't know if I could do it.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I could do it.
The feeling I got at the top of the stairs, and I, like I said, I've experienced these things and not a lot scared. Like, okay, if you're going to sneak up behind me and scream or touch me, I'm going to scream. It's going to scare me.
Yeah.
But things like that don't necessarily scare me. And after feeling what I felt upstairs, I don't know if I would sleep up there either.
I really don't know if I could sleep upstairs. Down here doesn't bother me, and I go up there for my clothes, but I don't know if I could sleep up there.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself like a frightened person, but I think I would be awake quite a while.
The feeling I get is, this is our space.
Yeah.
You stay downstairs. This is for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting when we do a bed and breakfast that people are staying up there
What they're gonna
and what they're going to experience.
And we'll talk to the Niles Haunted Scream Park and partner up with them for September through November.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do some kind of package deal.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because that's a top-rated scream park.
Yeah, a lot of people
People
they
come
do
from.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like
Stay in a
I thought I
hotel
saw it
and
was
have
rated
tickets to the
second.
attractions.
Right.
Yeah.
second in Michigan or second in the United States.
It's
one
in
point.
Michigan.
It's
Probably
pretty
second
high
in
up
the
there.
United States. It's in top 10.
Yeah, it's definitely a top 10, but
Yeah.
at one point I think it was rated second in one of those two categories, and I was
Right.
like, wow.
Right.
You know, because we live here.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
little
that
Niles.
special to us. We've been there.
But I've seen
Every
YouTube
year.
videos of people that do those kind of places a lot, and they'll come from California just to come here.
Right. And then they get a hotel or whatever. And now if we could offer them the Beeson as,
Yeah.
an added notch in their belt, or even a Notre Dame game for those that want a little experience outside of the game. We hope to appeal to lots of people. And we're starting to do paranormal conventions. We are going to be guest speakers at one in June. So we will have tables set up and we will be promoting the Beeson and everything that it is. Like I said, right now it's basically YouTube and Facebook following, but there's more. There's a lot more to come.
Oh, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
So like I said, we will have everything linked in the video for you guys to look and follow along and maybe go to some of the conventions and meet them. Very cool people for letting us come in your house and take over.
No.
You guys are awesome.
We love guests. We do. We love guests.
Planned.
Yes, plan guests. Yes.
Not the
Or
ones that are
permanent
peeking in your window.
Yes, yeah. Just we do have jobs, we have a life, we have construction, we have things. So please don't just show up. But we love people. We love events, parties,
Book club.
book clubs, birthday parties. We love it all.
And you are a Cincy rep now.
Yeah, I'm Cincy rep now. So.
And you are having at least 2 weddings here, so you know.
That's right. That's right. So please, we do love all of our fans, but we just have to do it in moderation.
Yes, absolutely. So don't just show up. We're not going to put the address. I'm sure it's going to be public.
It's public.
It's everywhere.
But
It is
we are not
everywhere.
saying just show up. We're saying contact them to do this thing.
Yes.
And we try and have one public book club and ghost hunt every month.
Our next one is in June.
The next one is June, our next one is in May, but it's full.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one will be posted at the end of the month, and it'll be in June. And we do also host private hunts if you have a paranormal group or something.
So if you're interested in the book club ghost hunt, they fill up fast. So watch for the post.
Yeah.
Yeah, we limit them to only 10 people, and our last one got booked in an hour and a half.
So
Yeah, so you gotta keep an eye on it and move fast.
yes, yes. So yeah. Well,
We
thank you
really
guys.
appreciate you having us. This was so
Yes.
much fun.
Happy
And
anniversary on your podcast.
thank you.
Happy
Thank
anniversary.
you.
We're
That's
so excited.
exciting.
It is.
We are so excited.
We
Serial
appreciate you guys
killers is a
coming.
growth industry.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
having us.
Yes, and
Growth industry.
Yes. Yes.
You won't run out of topics.
No, not at all.
People are killing people every day.
Every day.
Either we get the murder aspect or the ghostly afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
So hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Ken and Katherine Greer from
I did.
the Beeson Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
It was such a cool experience.
Oh my God. And the house, I know we said it several times, but the house is, and even in the shape that it's in, is beautiful.
Yes.
It is amazing.
My favorite part was the exposed brickwork.
Yes.
Going up the stairs.
Yes.
And in that one bathroom and in their, what does she call
Kitchen?
it? Summer kitchen.
Summer kitchen?
Summer
it's like
kitchen.
It's not like an outdoor. It's kind of like what you would call a
3 seasons room.
Yeah.
Or 4 seasons room.
And she thinks that it used to be a summer kitchen.
Yeah.
And the floors
bricks and the walls are brick and it's cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
They were both really neat people, and I embarrassingly
nice
so
people. We were fangirling.
Yeah, Ken answered the door, and I was like, "Hey," and then Katherine walks up, and she is just so cool looking,
and Angela blurts out, "You look so cool."
And I am so embarrassed by that, but Katherine, you are so cool looking. She has like a money piece here that's a rainbow.
She got it on both sides. The other one was just kind of tucked.
I didn't see that. I just saw the one on the side, and then she has these funky, cool glasses. She is just cool looking.
Yeah, they're both very cool people. Very cool, very down to earth, very nice people.
Yes.
Thank you guys for letting us invade your home.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We had a very fun time. And we cannot wait to go back in June.
Yeah, we're gonna
right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a ghost hunt with them. So
yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this. We're so thankful for you guys sticking with us for the last year, and we hope to do more cool, fun things with you in this next upcoming year.
Happy 1 year. Hopefully, we get to year number 2.
Please continue to like, subscribe, share, all that shit.
All the shits.
All the shits.
Tell us about stories you have.
Yeah. Do you have any? Yeah. Do you have any ghost stories?
Ghost stories.
Can we come look at your house?
Right. Very fucking cryptids.
Glitches in the Matrix.
Glitches in the Matrix. Any triangles, like mysterious Bermuda Triangle type things.
Yeah.
We are hoping to do more Michigan history, Michigan ghostly, creepy, paranormal
cryptids, that kind
things
of
around our hometown and our home state. So look forward to that.
But you can send in your stories to our email address, which is spinechillingchatspodcast@gmail.com. Or you can go to our website, www.spine-chillingchatspodcast.com, and submit them there.
We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram,
YouTube,
all the podcasts,
anywhere,
sources,
wherever you can listen to podcasts,
platforms, and I think that's all.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you come back, and most of all, we hope you keep it spooky. Bye, guys.
Bye.